are on this stretch of 7th Avenue. This is like the heart of Touristville, New York City, between 50th and 51st Street. I mean, you've got your TGI Fridays behind me, your Applebee's across the street, the Winter Garden Theater, and one of the best new restaurants in New York City, Insieme. Marco Canora, Paul Greco opened this in the spring of 2007. One of my favorite restaurants in the city right now. It's fantastic. We're going to go inside and get their story today. Great welcome addition to this neighborhood. Stay tuned and you'll see why.
You're just basically we're just gonna roast them.
Insieme is a partnership between Marco Canora and Paul Greco. Both worked together at Kraft years ago. That's where they cut their teeth. Paul did the beverage program, and of course Marco was in the kitchen. They opened Hearth after that, great restaurant on the Lower East Side, where they really had a lot of acclaim.
No knife skills needed here.
This deal came up in the Michelangelo Hotel when the previous space, Limoncello, left. Funny part of town, midtown here in the Theater District. Not a lot of great eateries up here, so they really felt this was a niche. They felt they were filling a void that existed, and I agree with them. I think it's one of the great restaurants to open in 2007. Great critical reviews, 2 stars from Frank Bruni, which I disagree with vociferously. This is a 3-star restaurant if I've ever been to one. Great food in a part of town that needs it.
Little contrast.
Beautiful plate of food. Beautiful, beautiful plate of food. This had been Cipriani at Bellini here.
Correct.
And then it was Limoncello for a while, which I have no idea what that was. I used to just walk by and say, I wonder what that is. I mean, this is really kind of a touristy, businessy neighborhood, aside from Les Bernardins to the south.
Right.
And, you know, up on the corner now, thank goodness, the whole Time Warner thing and John George. There's really not a whole lot of great eating around here.
No, there's not a lot. I mean, you got the Modern over there, and you have Anthos over there, and Alto over there, but, you know, for such a congested part of Manhattan, you know, there really isn't just the, you know, there's a handful. And, you know, we thought that the neighborhood could use it, and we thought we could really find our place here. You know, I don't think that this is going to be a substitute for Carmine's. In other words, the tourists walking by, I think they look in and they know that, I don't know if it's not for them, but they don't feel like they're going to walk in with their shorts and their kids. So I think we're filling a niche, and so far it's been great, and people are really responding to the fact that, you know, I'm going to the green market, I'm bringing local ingredients, I'm sourcing great fish from around the world, I'm sourcing, you know, artisanal local stuff, and, you know, it's not a commonplace thing that happens in this part of town. Shima Aji.
It smells clean as a whip. Look at the gills, just slime. I mean, this is 24 hours, 30 hours out of the water in Japan.
Santa Barbara sea urchin. They're just so creamy.
Perfect.
And delicious. It's like unbelievable.
This is a fish that we all know, but this is beautiful. Is this West Coast salmon? Yeah, wild. Yeah, king salmon, wild salmon. Copper River, I'm not sure exactly where this one's from, but you can smell it. It is beautiful, it's fresh. Again, look at the proteins, no breaks in the fish. As fish gets older, you can just see naturally these muscle seams start to separate as the proteins degenerate. When fish is fresh, it has this gorgeous gelatinous, I mean, really looks almost like Jell-O. Just solid proteins. Almost like a cucumber kind of a smell to fresh salmon. The name Insieme in Italian means together, and in this case, the together part is the menu. There's an older style menu and a newer style menu. So you sort of have traditional Italian dishes on the one menu, and his modern riff on new Italian cooking on the other. So Insieme, together, old and new.
You know, so many people say Italian food is best when it's simple and traditional, and don't try to elevate it and don't try to fuss with it because you're just going to ruin it. And, you know, while I hugely respect traditional food, and I love traditional food. I grew up on it. I love the simplicity of Italian food. It speaks to people, to their soul, and I love that about it. But at the same time, as a chef who wants to flex his creativity, you know, I don't want to, you know, as much as I respect making bolognese and all the classics, you know, when you do it for a living and you do it every day, 70 hours a week, you know, I want to be more creative. So I thought, perfect way to do this, have 2 menus. Do the traditional stuff that everybody loves, that I grew up eating, that I can do very well. And then on the other side, be a little bit more creative. contemporary side of the menu, the many components of the same thing. So we have a Elysian Fields rack of lamb that we off the bone cut, marinate, and grill a la minute. Breast that is pressed, braised, glazed. This is the loin, which we actually cook sous vide. So it has a very different style as that. Spicy greens.
What's he finishing there?
Some kohlrabi, just with
Okay.
a little spice. We wanted to add a little heat to the dish. So this is kind of perfect because it's both worlds right here. This is probably the most traditional dish of Tuscany. Risa di maiale, it's a roast pork with beans, Rancho Gordo beans from West Coast. We put a little sausage in there, pork jus, and then we stud it and marinate it traditionally, roast it traditionally, and just herbs, beans, pork. I mean, about as classic
And
as
a
you
little
can
bit of
get.
fried sage, fried rosemary on the top.
Yep. Savoy cabbage, dehydrated prosciutto, my version of bacon bits, branzini. Inside, we mortar and pestle sage, lardo, and lemon zest, and we rub it inside and then sandwich it and wrap it in prosciutto and roast it. Bulb onion from the green market.
Salt and boca style.
Exactly. Playful salt and boca style. This is the last course, traditional duck with orange. People think it's French, but it really originated in Florence. It's a Muscovy duck.
Beautiful, beautiful job. Classic.
Yeah, exactly. Classic. Very, very classic.
Obviously, when we talk about these Greek grapes, no one has a reference for this stuff, whether they're talking about the white mountain.
The responsibilities are divided up thusly. Both men are owners, Paul and Marco, of the restaurant, so they're partners. Marco's in charge of the kitchen. Paul does the beverage program and the wait staff training. A lot of work. He cut his teeth doing beverages at Gramercy, then at Kraft. Great places, both. The beverages, wines, etc. He does at Hearth are wonderful. Here, no exception. He keeps getting better. The wine list is really great. It's also really funny. A lot of tongue-in-cheek humor, and I think that what he does every day is instill that kind of discipline, humor, and persona into the staff. So every day before service there's a meeting. He's the face of that restaurant to Marco working in the kitchen, being the soul of it back there. In fact, there's a great piece in the New York Times this past September about Paul and how important that is, being in the maitre d', being the greeter, juggling the reservations, dealing with customers. That's what he does. That's a big part of the restaurant experience. That's Paul's domain.
The idea of Insieme, the togetherness, actually was created by Marco. And it began in the world of wine. He loved the wine presentations that I did at Hearth, where I would try and tweak the staff to see if it was an old world styled wine versus a new world style wine, one driven by sense of place versus one driven by, let's say, the sense of winemaker. So he loved that. And when we came up here to talk to the people at the hotel about developing a concept, he liked that idea, old world, new world. Old world traditional versus contemporary. So, well, let's take that and do a wine-focused restaurant with that as its theme. It's obviously morphed a little bit, but that idea of traditional versus contemporary has remained. Now, wine-wise up here, it's more Italian in selection than it is down at Hearth. But I'm not driven by saying, well, 50% of my list has to be Italian. I don't buy that way. I just buy what I like, and here I'm just happen to buy in a little bit more Italian. I don't like the word esoterica anymore, because just because you don't know it doesn't make it esoteric. It just means you're not familiar with it. But for those people in that little town in Italy or Slovenia or Uruguay, that's what they drink every bloody day. And that's what I'm trying to do here as part of the education of my staff, of my guests, to introduce these things to them. So I would like to say that we're still focusing on smaller producers. I'm still focusing on varietals, regions, wines that you are not that familiar with. I'm never going to be able to compete with Crew Restaurant or Veritas or Danielle in terms of the depth and the verticals and all that stuff. What thrills me is not the verticality of the wine industry or the wine world, but the horizontal nature. It thrills me to get a cool bottle of wine from Slovenia or Hungary or Greece or Uruguay or British Columbia, Canada, and then go out and introduce that across the land. So if you have to call this, unfortunately, an esoteric list, then I'll take it. We are still as esoteric here, as exotic as we are down at Hearth.
So this is the salmon we saw being made, and we had to get this on camera tonight. This is the salmon that's wrapped in eggplant. Gorgeous salmon, eggplant puree here, roast peppers. I don't know what that is underneath it. I'll find out in a minute. But let's just dig into this salmon because I've been kind of dreaming of this since I saw him make it. You know, again, the simplicity of this, it's misleading. The eggplant tastes wonderful. That really thin sheet of eggplant, beautiful baby eggplant. There's garlic, but it's not even there. It's like the fifth thing you taste after the roastness and the confit quality. Eggplant puree, beautiful, roast peppers, olive oil. We're here in the summer, lots and lots of fruit. Blueberries completely in season. What else do you have fruit-wise that I'm going to see tonight?
I have apricots.
The pastry chef Amadou is great. I really, really like this guy. I had him on our radio show already. He's wonderful. He's doing really great work for them. This is a great kitchen staff. Frankly, Insieme is one of the 3 or 4 best restaurants, in my opinion, to have opened up in 2007. Well worth a visit. Everything's great. Desserts included. All right. We're eating some dessert here. I'm sitting at the dessert station, which is driving these guys nuts. This is the Salmon, which I love. Oh, Vino Santo. It's like air. Vin Santo, like air, like air. And we're gonna go into. Yeah, we gotta get the fruit with it.
Simple flavors as well.
Simple and deceptively light. Because you're really eating air, even though there's an egg component in this. I'm sliding over to here. We're going to show this in 1 second. This is the other dessert you're talking about. We have the white chocolate and your little...
White chocolate with a little bit.
Nectarine and fructose and the plum stuff. Okay. And all that goes to...
You know what? I like it. I'm not a huge white chocolate fan.
Yeah, it's not too sweet.
Not
Like
too
really
sweet,
white chocolate.
not too waxy, and I love the cookie underneath it. Now this I'm going to have to wrap my head around, pal. Yeah, no, the basil sorbet. I mean, you know, tomatoes, mozzarella, dessert. I'm gonna do. I don't know.
I mean, if your sweetness, basil can really cut the acid. That's the point here. The herbal.
You might have me. I'm not sure. I may be on the fence with the basil sorbet. I may be on the fence still.
Well, got the people.
I'm
raspberries.
doing the two together now. I'm giving you the whole, you know. Now that's different.
Think about the herbal.
With the raspberries, that's
Yes.
different. That's different.